Thea is coming to Brawlhalla this Wednesday, so let's take a look at all of her signature moves. First up, we've got the Battle Boots nsig, which is a quick 1-2 kick ending in the opposite direction of where you're facing when you're using it. So this is a reversal signature, it's a reversal anti-air, and it's very, very quick. This is going to be a trend with all of Thea's sigs. I mean, she's called the Speedster, she's the first ever 9-speed character in the game. It only makes sense for her sigs to be very, very quick. But, as you could see right there, not a lot of force. This is going to be a common trend, where his sigs, they're kind of like light attacks, but then they're also kind of like light attacks, as in they don't kill for a very, very long time. That was in the orange, barely sent anywhere, and this is a very interesting interaction. A GC against the wall, but if you look really closely here, I'm going to slow it down one more time, you don't actually get a wall touch here. So I don't know how useful this is going to be to GC recovery. Maybe it's just a weird because of the Brawlhaven slant on the wall there. And also there is a dead zone. You can see right here, it's not going to be just an infinite range, gigantic hitbox. Hitbox, pretty good, pretty sizable, that nice diagonal, but there still is a bit of a gap. Overall, seems like an incredible signature. A reversal anti-air that fast can never be bad, but it is gonna have some trouble killing if you're not super deep in the red, it seems like. Next up, we've got the Battle Boots side sig, which although it looks like the most simple move, you're just dashing forward very quickly, it's probably the most complex in her entire kit, and I'll get into all of that, don't you worry. You can see right here, if you hold it down, you're gonna be dashing a lot further, almost the length of the stage there. It's like 2/3 of the stage. Now I have this split screen Halo 2 multiplayer, don't screen peek, just so that you can see the moment you release the dash, even if you're holding it down, the time that it takes to reach the very end of your dash is going to be the same whether you tap it or whether it's full distance. If you want a visualization on what that full distance actually looks like, this is the best I could come up with the very limited footage and all the camera moving around that I could. I tried to align it as best as possible. You can see that is a good amount of range. But this move, like I said, it's more complex than it looks. Because right there, that is the uncharged version. This is the mid-charged version. You know how Rayman, when he charges the side sig or the nsig with gauntlets, he gets a little spark, and then it does like a longer version? This is like that, and you can see right here, I'm stomping on the ground, versus I'm skidding with my boots. That is the difference between the normal charge, or just the uncharged version, and the mid-charge, and then the full charge when the wings get super large. That's going to be the mega one. That's going to be the one that goes the furthest. So there's 3 different distances with this move. That's already a little bit complicated, but then we get into the force. Pay no attention to the fact that this is hitting in the red and the other Thea is going pretty much nowhere. I already told you, this is going to be a common trend among all of her sigs. Pay more attention to the angle they're getting sent at, and also where in the move the side sig is actually hitting. You can see right here, it's hitting near the base, near where you start, versus at the very edge, and the angle is different. But also the charge is different. I scrubbed through all of this footage trying to figure out what is going on here. These 3 are uncharged. You can see 2 of them hit kind of upward, and then that one, when it hits at the very peak, is going to hit somewhat horizontal, but still not as horizontal as when the mid-charge and the full charge hit at the peak. So what I've surmised, and clearly you can see right here, there is a pretty significant angle difference, is that among the 3 versions, the instant tap, the slight charge, and the full charge, it matters not only where you hit it, but which version it is in terms of what angle you're going to send them at. Also, the force and the stun overall are pretty low on all of these versions, so that's something also to keep in mind. Move seems very fun, a little bit wonky, so I'm excited to get my hands on it and test it out myself. To close things out with the boots here, we've got kind of the opposite, a move that looks pretty complex on the surface, but is actually quite straightforward and simple. You can see it's a dash forward, a dash back, and then finally ending off in the same direction where you're originally starting with a little bit of a mini dash. Now on hit, you're going to be running a couple extra times and ending up reversing the opponent. So Thea on her battle boots has 2 reversal signatures, one on the ground and one on the air. Also, I just love this animation. I was saying in the announcement teaser trailer when all of her effects and everything were shown that I hope that she has some of these speed lines afterbirth image effect. I said afterbirth again, we're not going to comment on that. You can see with GC, you kind of end up in a similar spot from where you started, almost identical actually. And once again, not a lot of force here. This is yellow clocking into the orange, really going nowhere. And even in the deep red, not going to kill there. Now, okay, that is a reversal on the opposite side of the map, so maybe not a lot of sigs will kill. But you can see the speed at which they're traveling when compared to the damage. damage, and it's quite low. An important characteristic about this move is that you can be interrupted in the middle of the dash. It's not like you're invincible, it's not like you're invulnerable, it's not like you're teleporting around everywhere. You still have a vulnerable entity within the game world. Swapping up to the lance now, and we've got a move that is pretty good. This is the nsig. You can see you're throwing the lance up, then jumping up to catch it. Okay, this move, I'm not gonna lie, when I first saw this, I was kind of shocked because you can see the hitbox, the range, the speed, very, very powerful. We're gonna get into that hitbox a little more later. There's a version of the GC. Now, I don't know if this has an active hitbox when you're jumping up to catch the lance. I looked through all of the footage available, could not find a single instance where that was the case. So maybe that hits, maybe it doesn't. Maybe this is just the recovery time you're jumping into the air. That would be quite neat. You can use it to GC recovery on the wall. You can see you are grabbing onto the wall with this move, so you are getting your jumps back, so that's pretty useful. And right here, this is what I was talking about with this hitbox. We're gonna slow it way down so you can see a good amount of active frames. I kind of tried to say a lot there and a good amount at the same time, mess myself up. I'm doing this in one take, all right? Leave me alone. You can see it's gonna hit behind. Right here, we're pausing the game. That's where it's hitting. Quite a decently sized hitbox, if I do say so myself, at an angle that lance cannot really hit on its own too well. I mean, jump nair maybe, but from the ground, not at all. But once again, not a lot of force here. Keep in mind, with all of these ssigs, they're against a 3 defense legend on small Brawlhaven, the smallest map we've got. Still, they're not killing into the deep red. Now, I think this matters a lot less with this specific move than most of the others, because this one seems a little bit redonkulous, but that is the general design, which I tend to like. Signatures that act more like light attacks and give a unique option to the kit, rather than only being used to knock out in a niche situation. We'll see how it plays out gameplay-wise though. This ssig, to me, without ever playing her and only looking at this footage, seems like it might be the scariest one. Well, the boot ssigs too. Or her others as well. Her ssigs are good. Next up, we've got the lance side ssig, which is this short to mid-distance burst of speed with a billion slashes. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Spear Endlight, but if that move was pumped up to 11. And the reason why I say that is because it does look like it has a decent amount of forward priority and probably not that much in the vertical space. But you can see once you hit it, it does have an on-hit effect, but not a lot of force. I feel like I'm hammering this point home, but with this one especially, I feel like this is pretty dramatic. You can see right here, they're clocking into the red exactly on that hit. That's what, 150 damage and going almost nowhere. So it's fast, it's got a good amount of priority, probably, likely not the easiest to punish, but also likely not the easiest to KO with. Hello, editor eggsoup here. I just want to clarify, some of the things I'm saying about damage ranges might not be the most accurate because they changed how the colors work in the last patch, so just keep that in mind. It might not be as dramatic as I'm saying. Still though, nothing like dsig force. Finally, we've got ourselves the lance down ssig. This is a bit of a storybook ending. We started with a reversal ssig and we're ending with a reversal ssig. The way that this works is it doesn't matter whether you connect the first half or not. It's not like Mordek's scythe down ssig. Both hits are going to come out regardless, meaning that you can miss the first one and connect the second one. You can hit the first one into the second one. Hopefully the first one doesn't drop into the second one. And the charge property of this move, it's kind of like the Koji sword side ssig, the Isaiah blaster side ssig, where the charge is only after the first hit already comes out. So that means you can do a bit of sneaky beaky trixies like that Wushang Gauntless down ssig is another one. And also, you can do a reverse slide charge like this to catch someone on the wall. Maybe you snipe out a jump. Maybe you snipe out a low recovery, a downer, unarmed or with boots or with guitars, and get an early KO from that. What this also means is that if you reverse the slide charge as you're going downward, the final slash can be forward. And we saw as they were hitting and connecting with the battle boots down air, it actually has a hitbox that extends pretty far below. So this is a nice little sneaky tool to add to your Thea kit if you're thinking about giving her a try. That's it from me. There's a lot more this patch that I covered in a previous video if you want to know about that. This is a bit longer than I usually take on these videos, but I did want to spend some time on that boots side ssig because I think it's very interesting. I am extremely excited to play her and especially to lock in 10 speed for the very first time. You can bet I'm going to make videos out of it, so stay tuned. Don't get decapitated by a helicopter.